Welcome back to Ben and Charlie's Kitchen Trainers, because that's certainly where we are now. We are cooking up the heat heading into our Swiss round 5. Really, really cool teams that we'll have coming up on the stream. We'll be able to get into those very shortly. For now, Charlie Merriman, married by name, married by nature. This is Ben Kyriakou.
Trouble by name, trouble by nature.
Trouble.
I'm going to go for
right. Prepare for trouble and make it double.
I mean, in the chat, if anyone can make a pun out of my surname, then please let me know. I would love to have something to add to the Merriman name.
I'm sure I can do it. It's just, well, we'll talk about that later. Because look at these teams. Look at these teams. Got Iron Moth. I love Iron Moth. It's so cool to see it in this matchup with Gallade and Iron Crown. Of course, the Indeedee paired alongside it. Pokemon Wellspring and the Ursaluna original, let's say. Over on Luca's side of the field, we got a Chestnut. That's right. This is a team composition that's been rising up as well. Belly Drum on the Chestnut, so threatening on the field, alongside some stalwart picks like Incineroar, Rillaboom, Raging Bolt, Chien-Pao, and Urshifu. And the version of the Urshifu there is going to be the Rapid Strike.
Yeah, I really like this composition from Luca, and really taking advantage at this local level of something that maybe a lot of players haven't actually come across. Chestnut being the only Pokemon that gets access to both Grassy Glide, but also Belly Drum at the same time. And where you can boost up your stats, you can take advantage of that Belly Drum. It's a really defensively capable Pokemon as well. So, you know, you get it all set up, you get it ready to go, and you use Rillaboom as a support, maybe switch it in, or just have it on the field if your opponent doesn't have a terrain like Jost has on his side of the field to launch out those powerful priority attacks.
We've all heard of Weather Wars, and we're preparing for them heading into Regulation Set G, where we will have Kyogre, Groudon, Koraidon, etc. joining the fray. The tier below that, let's say, the one that's slightly less common but still prevalent, are Terrain Wars, and they will be coming out in this game, Indeedee versus Rillaboom. And of course, what does the Psychic Terrain give to Jost? Well, it provides the double expanding force targeting that can be coming out from the Iron Crown, as well as preventing priority moves. But for the Rillaboom, you're enabling the Grassy Glides coming out from Chestnut and the Rillaboom there, and a little bit of recovery, which can stack up with an item like a Leftovers. But for now, here comes Chien-Pao, here comes Urshifu over on Luca's side of the field, and for Jost, it's going to be Indeedee and the Gallade.
Yeah, I like that this lead-in from Jost. I mean, like, all you need to do is have that Indeedee going for the follow me, at least in the early game. Now, because of the Rillaboom on Luca's side of the field, and because of that threat of Grassy Glide coming out later, maybe you don't want the Indeedee to go down this time, but Jost is really in a good spot here to be able to either follow me and set up the Trick Room, or just go straight for the Trick Room with the Indeedee as well, maybe switch into another one of his Pokemon to take a little bit of hit as well. Indeedee being kept safe by Jost, wanting to maintain that terrain war we were just mentioning there, bringing in instead the Iron Crown, which both struggles against that Dark-type Chien-Pao, but also can knock it out in one with Tachyon Cutter.
Well, U-turn is going to be a neutral hit into that slot, was once super effective, enabling Luca's, Urshifu to pivot here, bringing another potential threat in from the back. That's going to be the Raging Bolt joining the field, rising up high to oversee the battle, as Icicle Crash is going to connect down. Not very effective, but really good damage there onto the Iron Crown. Huge Sacred Sword down there onto the Raging Bolt, and that's going to be that's going to enable it to recover a little bit of HP thanks to the Leftovers there. So the Iron Crown not in entirely for free, but it's great that it has the Psychic Terrain set up for it already.
Nice that Jost is using the Sword of Ruin ability from Chien-Pao against his opponent in Luca, doing a little bit of extra damage, not just because of the sharpness and the same type of attack bonus that Gallade gets access to, but yeah, Sword of Ruin boosting that up a further percentage there. And then realizing that Trick Room may not be the optimal strategy here, instead opting to bring the Iron Crown in and bring a little bit more of a different speed tier to the game. Of course, with the Psychic Terrain on the field, there won't be a Thunderclap, so I think Luca's going to have to rely quite a lot on that Chien-Pao to be able to put pressure onto the Iron Crown. Otherwise, it's going to be able to do a lot of damage. Tachyon Cutter would be great here, but instead, an Icicle Crash not picking up the KO on the Gallade, expanding force picking up the KO on the Raging Bolt. That's going to give the Gallade the time to act.
It certainly will, and that's going to be another Sacred Sword coming out onto the Chien-Pao, doubly super effective, of course. brought down to its focus sash, the most commonly held item on this glass cannon Pokemon. So frail, you want it to be sticking around for at least 2 turns. So that Raging Bolt down and out for Luca, such a mainstay of the regulation set F metagame. But how's Luca going to adapt now? There's still no Trick Room set up, and that could be huge for Jost heading into later turns because it means more turns of Trick Room later on. And in the face of an Urshifu, yeah, I mean, that is a faster Pokemon that you're going to be wanting to act beforehand. Sucker Punch is denied by the Psychic Terrain right now, but both of the Pokemon on your side of the field so low on their HP, you've got to be quite careful.
You really, and this is I think the story of this game, where if Jost doesn't decide to go for the Trick Room early in this particular matchup and instead favors going for damage first, you get into the situation where we're in now, where Luca has so much offensive pressure on the board, and it's really difficult for him to be able to do anything to really act on that Trick Room or getting that Trick Room set up. Indeedee coming in and switching in here to take that Surging Strikes, taking 3 hits of Rocky Helmet chip on the Urshifu for his troubles, and that's a great little trade there, but it really does come down to whether or not this Iron Crown is going to be able to act.
Well, Sacred Sword will be picking up the knockout, so no, it will not. Going back, head spinning around in its days, having been had its hopes dashed by that Chien-Pao. Ursaluna lurking in the back there for Jost, as we can see. Trick Room not set up, and it might be a tall order to get that Trick Room set up now, given the Indeedee is on such low health.
But this Ursaluna will not go down to a Chien-Pao Sacred Sword or Icicle Crush. Usually they are able to survive this turn, and since the Urshifu on Luca's side is carrying the Choice Scarf, there is the opportunity for a Follow Me, but Jost doesn't go for it. Instead, takes those 3 Surging Strikes onto the Ursaluna this turn. Is enough for the knockout with that Sword of Ruin. Without it, it would have been able to hang on, but with it, there's just too much damage.
And now with an Icicle Crash following up into the Indeedee, that too is going to be down and out. It's such a shame. You seem to be getting themselves into a really good position in this game, but ultimately, yeah, perhaps banking too much on the Ursaluna being able to tank a hit there. As it was, yes, Follow Me could have been a really nice play there, and it's just this very low health Gallade. So yeah, the table's switching really quite quickly there, and you know, Raging Bolt's such a bulky Pokemon, but took so much damage from the Sacred Sword plus the Sword of Ruin on the field. So heading into the next game, I think, yeah, that's given Luca pause for thought in order to try and adapt to the huge damage coming out from Jost's side. But also for Jost, it's a question of, well, how do I utilize my supportive options as well as my offensive options?
I would have liked to see that Follow Me come out
Exactly,
in the end game for Jost and actually take the gamble. Maybe it can be, depending on how the Ursaluna is trained, it can go down to that attack, but more often than not, it's usually able to survive that damage. If you get an Earthquake off in that scenario, knowing that your Indeedee is going to be taken down by the Surging Strikes, it's going to do a little bit of extra damage to the Urshifu with Rocky Helmet. Then you Earthquake, clear the board. Sword of Ruin is still in effect for the Earthquake coming onto the Urshifu. And, of course, it would knock out the Chien-Pao in 1, and then it's Gallade and a now burnt Ursaluna and a Gallade versus the last Pokemon in the back, Luca, and that could have been a little bit of a different end game. If you don't target down the Gallade, then Trick Room goes up, and if you don't target down the Ursaluna, then well, a Facade or a Headlong Rush can be launched into you. So a lot of options in that end game, but that's not the one that got played out. Instead, the Ursaluna got out by the Surging Strikes, and actually, I really like the way that Luca was targeting in that turn. Even if there was the Follow Me, you've still got to click the right buttons into the right slots.
Yeah, I also love the lead that came out from Jost there. You don't know which one is going to be clicking the Trick Room. Is it going to be the Indeedee or the Gallade? Do you click with both because you assume that one is going to be knocked out so you don't reverse your own Trick Room? So the mind games that already come out from turn 1 there are really fascinating. But as it was, no Trick Room at all, and maybe that is something that Jost is going to want to be leaning towards, but maybe that's again a little bit telegraph for Luca now because that isn't the option that was gone for in that first game. Perhaps you go for Chestnut mode with Luca's team as well. You know, so many things that these trainers can go for, and they're both teams that enable different leads that can come out and achieve a huge amount in the battle.
Absolutely. We'll have to see how these trainers are going to adapt. Of course, Luca at 3-1, Jost at 2-2. So a lot on the line for Jost here, making sure both getting to those championship points, but also having an opportunity to get into that top cut. You called it right, Charlie. It is the Chestnut leading out for Luca this game, changing things up a little bit and maybe trying to take advantage of those defensive switches that Jost made in the early game of game 1. But this time, you just can't let that Chestnut do whatever it wants for free.
No, you can't. It's got the Terra Fire type. Currently, it would be taking super effective damage from Psychic type moves coming out from the Glade, or indeed Fairy from the Indeedee, but it has, with Terra Fire, it would be taking neutral as it is. No Terra coming out this turn. Icicle Crash is going right into the Glade, bringing it down very low, enabling the Belly Drum into the Chestnut. It's loud and it's proud on the field right now, and the question is Glade going to be flinching in the face of it? Going to recover a little bit with its berry, just bulking it up even more there, and if left unchecked, it could just be sweeping through the game, but fortunately no flinch coming out from the Glade. Boosted by the Psychic terrain, that is enough to clear that key piece. For if we were playing this game of Chestnut, that is a key piece removed for Luca.
Well, Chestnut is definitely not playing the game anymore. It's absolutely down and out. And what a great turn for Jost. What a great way to take advantage of the position that Luca gave. In this situation, okay, the Rillaboom's come in. It's changed the terrain. It's going to be able to now go for a fake out. So a little bit of a welcome reprieve for Luca being able to actually act in this turn rather than take damage straight away. But yeah, there's only one turn of the 4 that you've got to get through in Trick Room.
Right, I feel like maybe Luca was being slightly greedy there, not going for the Terra, hoping the survival would happen. Go for the Terra, survive, then Chestnut may well just be able to sweep. U-turn coming out into the Indeedee on Jost's side, about 50% health, and super effective, of course, into the Pokemon with Rocket Helmet chip there as well. That could be really useful later on in the game. Got Ursaluna ready on the field here, really threatening presence once it gets its Flame Orb activated. Urshifu joining the fray right now, and that's going to be the activation of the Flame Orb right there, but it is stirring down an Urshifu Rapid Strike.
Yeah, that's okay in this situation. You've got the Sword of Ruin still on the field, and in many ways, having that Chien-Pao on the field is actually of a benefit to Jost, because he's able to take extra damage from the Sword of Ruin, a Facade, into the Urshifu. If it wasn't KOing before, it's definitely doing so now. But you do have to be careful of what the Chien-Pao is going to be able to do, because if you go for this Ghost Terror into the Ursaluna, yeah, it's not going to be taking super effective damage from Ice type moves. Yeah, it's not going to be taking any damage at all from Fighting type moves, but it's going to now be weak to Sucker Punch, and with Indeedee on the field, you can't reset that terrain.
Oh, Sucker Punch is huge damage into Ursaluna, and with the Aqua Jet, not actually enough for the knockout onto Ursaluna. That's a massive Facade coming out, but it's on such low health now that the burn that has been so useful to it right now is going to unfortunately be its undoing at the end of the turn. Here comes a Dazzling Gleam coming out into the Chien-Pao. Really nice, super effective damage there. Crucially, the Focus Sash broken, but because of the Grassy Terrain recovery, in fact, Ursaluna is going to be sticking around for one more turn.
And now the Follow Me is really going to show its value from the Indeedee. Doesn't matter if you've got Psychic Terrain going onto the field. If you can just redirect Sucker Punches, it doesn't matter whatsoever. There's going to be a little bit of a spanner in the works with Rillaboom coming into this turn, where it can go for a fake out, it can stop the Follow Me before it acts, but you have to then make a decision if you're Luca. Do you go for the Sucker Punch? And if you're Jost, do you just protect and play a little bit safe with the Ursaluna? Or do you go on the offensive and call that maybe Luca's going to go for an Icicle Crash?
Well, it looks like for now it's just going to be a forfeit, and Jost is going to be claiming game 2 there, playing that really well. And once again, that could have been an opportunity to go for a Follow Me when Gleam was gone for. in the turn that we just saw play out. But then going for the Dazzling Gleam, you do get to break the Focus Ash on Chi and Pao.
Yes.
Seems like Jost is a player who likes to play really fast and loose with the matchup on the board, just trying to get the damage down in order to secure a very swift victory. Sometimes it's a risky strategy. Sometimes it works out, sometimes like in that game, but sometimes, as in game one, it was a little bit too much.
I think when you're well practiced with this sort of team archetype, it's less of a 50-50 and maybe a 55-45, maybe a 60-40, where Jost probably knows a little bit better than his opponent what people usually do to react to any given board state. But equally, at the same time, I do have to really credit Jost for not allowing Luca to get that belly drum off and start using the chestnut to great effect, because, hey, like, if you let it go, if instead you decide to opt for Trick Room, if you maybe go for a Dazzling Gleam to try and break the Focus Sash on the Chen Pao while also setting up the Trick Room, and you allow that chestnut the space to be able to go for belly drum, then wow, you're going to be in all sorts of trouble very, very quickly. And then, of course, you can change the train, then you can go for the Terra Fire, then you're probably not going to get knocked out by the Psycho Cut that we saw in game 2.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a very, 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 very different game. if that wasn't stated enough, it's going to be a different game to what we saw.
Yeah, a lot of berries there indeed. Yeah, the percussive might coming out from Luca's side of the field with that Rillaboom and indeed the belly drumming chestnut. But I was surprised not to see the Terrifier coming out on that turn, just to try and keep the belly drum Pokemon safer, because then that could have been the turn that defined the game. Then you sweep
with the Psychic Terrain and the Sword of Ruin. Maybe even the Terror wasn't enough.
Yeah,
maybe you had to switch out the Chen Pao in that situation and then sacrifice the damage on the Gallade. Maybe that could have been the play. Get the Rillaboom on the field, take the Sword of Ruin away, take the Terrain away, and then just opt for going for that Grassy Glide strategy in the late game. And we'll have to see if that is what is opted for again. But no, Luca going back to the tried and tested game plan that won in game 1. Jost finding another way to adapt to the situation that he finds himself in, bringing that Iron Crown, but paired instead of with the Indeedee, with the Ogerpon.
Yeah, you've always got the Indeedee in the back, one would assume, just ready to switch in at any point for a big expanding force, but of course Chi and Pao is going to be taking 0 damage from that. I think, the previous games we saw the Gallade hit the field, and with the Sword of Ruin as well, you don't get too many physical psychic type damaging moves, and so it's really nice niche that Gallade finds itself in right now. For now though, it's going to be Follow Me coming out from Ogerpon and a super effective U-turn into that slot, so already a really nice momentum behind Luca here, as now Luca has the luxury of being able to decide which Pokemon to switch in safely, and that is going to be the Chestnut coming in, so let's hope it's not a single target expanding force into that slot. Sacred Sword just able to take out the Ogerpon.
I like this trade though. The Ogerpon goes down. If I'm not mistaken, this is good. Tachyon Cutter into this Chen Pao. First hit, taking it down to its Focus Sash, but of course there is another one waiting in the wings there to take the knockout in one hit, so to speak, onto Chen Pao. Not something that we usually get to see too often, unless maybe like a Flare Blitz burn, but in this case, that really does open up the game, I think, for Jost to play a completely different scenario here, and seeing the Pokemon that he brought, Iron Moth. I was about to say Iron Crown. I'm like, no, the Iron Crown's in front of me. It's already on the field. The Iron Moth going to be able to really play this game a little bit differently, especially if Rillaboom comes in here. The terrain war is happening in the back right now, not in the front.
Yeah, the Iron all round on Jost's side of the field. Time to meet Luca's percussive solo on the other side of the field with a steely resolve. And the Indeedee lurking in the back at any time ready to switch in. Both of the Pokemon on Luca's side would be taking super effective damage from the expanding force. Terra may well be being forced out right now for Luca, but Iron Moth decides now is not the time. It's not holding a booster energy. It can do that and keep its item, the Power Herb, intact. Here comes Indeedee.
Is it going to be the Rillaboom switching in? Is it going to be the U-turn? Is it going to be cancelled out straight away? Is the terrain war about to get into the front? And we're going to have to see in just a moment. I can see the players over the screen that we're watching on. There's going to be a Terra going on. It's the Terra water onto the Iron Crown. And, let's see.
You're going to have to do the podcast version of this, trainers. The audio dialogue going on here. It's a responding Terra coming out from Chestnut. It's turning into the Terra Fire type, trainers. That's going to be taking psychic damage so much better. But how have these trainers targeted? What have they gone for? Let's see. So switching now, our little perspective here. So U-turn coming out into the Indeedee. That's super effective hit from the Urshifu. All eyes, though, on the Iron Crown and the Chestnut. What do you mean?
Terra Blast on Terra Blast, Terra Water, Terra
it could
Blast
be onto the Chestnut.
Yeah.
But Rillaboom is here to overwrite the terrain now, so an expanding force that would become single target. This is such a crucial turn for these two trainers. Here comes the single target expanding force. Not the Terra Blast, not calling that Terra. That's going to be activated in Citrus Berry before the Chestnut is even able to get the belly drum active on the field. This is it. This is the drummers facing down. Now the belly drum is going up, but the Citrus Berry already consumed. So this is the health that Chestnut is going to have to work with for the rest of the game, although the grassy terrain is going to be able to help recover it heading into the later stages. You can switch out that Indeedee and back in to get the psychic terrain back up later on, as this Iron Moth is lurking in the back as well. Such a fascinating matchup.
Yeah, but now we get this mind game all the way over again as Rillaboom rightly switches out into the Urshifu, getting that Choice Scarf set up. Of course, both of these Pokemon that set their terrain, the terrain war is well in effect right now because they're both leaving the field. Iron Moth, probably one of the only Pokemon that's going to happily switch in on a 6+ Chestnut, grassy terrain, grassy glide. Say that again 5 times. And of course, Grassy Glide going into the water type Iron Crown now. But the question is are we just going to see a straight up U-turn again? I don't see any way that that's not completely safe here for Luca. You either keep the grassy terrain on the field because the Indeedee doesn't switch in, or you get the Rillaboom onto the field. The only thing that happens that kind of works in Jost's favor is maybe if you're able to take the knockout onto this Chestnut this turn with the Iron Crown. Iron Moth, sorry.
Right. It's so useful for Luca being able to go for U-turn as opposed to a bare switch, and let's see if it pays dividends for Luca right now. So, overwriting the terrain, the Rillaboom is sticking on the field, so the Psychic Train is going to be up for at least one turn. Here comes the Terra Blast into the Chestnut. Terra Water Terra Blast now super effective, enough to take out that really big threat on the field. So the Belly Drum actually gone for naught there.
No, he's gone for Chestnut.
Yeah.
Chestnut being knocked out in that turn with that Terra Water Terra Blast. I'm not sure why we didn't see the U-turn there. The Urshifu on Luca's side is carrying the Choice Scarf. The Iron Moth, I'm just going to check the team sheets there. It doesn't have a Choice Scarf. It's in fact carrying a Power Herb for Meteor Beam. So the Urshifu definitely would have been stronger. And this game is going to be going to
Luca.
Luca
is going to be claiming the victory in this match. Oh no, isn't it? Okay.
Right, let's just go backwards.
Luca is going to be the winner of this game, but it's lovely to see Jost giving us a winning smile there, despite being the trainer who was defeated. So I believe it would be great to get the confirmation as to whether it was Luca coming out on top. Yes, it was. It absolutely was Luca. Who, the Chestnut team paid dividends, even though the Chestnut wasn't able to get up to the antics that it would have liked to have been getting up to in that second game. But such a cool team from Jost. It's such a shame that we weren't able to see the Iron Moth getting up to its antics, because I think it's a Pokemon that has so much untapped potential. And I'd love to see what trainers can utilize it for.
We saw a little bit of the regional championships this year. Right? It's been seen occasionally, and it's one of those Pokemon, you put a booster energy on it, maybe you utilize Acid Spray, but I think it's such a difficult Pokemon to utilize well because it sometimes lacks a little bit of coverage options. But the way that Jost was using this with the Power Herb Meteor Beam, I'm really, really enjoying. And of course, the Heat Wave and the Sludge Wave that goes alongside it. once you've got that special attack boost from Meteor Beam, you've got that kind of pinpoint pressure that you can put on. Maybe you knock out an Incineroar and pave the way for a Heat Wave and a Sludge Wave, especially when you have Wide Guard on the Gallade that can make sure that you don't take any damage. You've got the Steel type in Iron Crown next to it that you can kind of Sludge Wave over and over again. And Iron Crown doesn't mind that unless it goes for its Terra Water, of course. So, yeah, really nice way to utilize that from you.
Yeah, really, really innovative team building. I love the way you say Meteor Beam instead of Meteor Beam. It makes me think, a Meteor Beam than what? What is this beam consisting of? Steak, chicken? I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Okay. I'm trying to think how I say that. No, I probably would say Meteor Beam. I just heard it as MEAT as opposed to METEOR.
Well, it is quite a powerful beam.
Yeah.
Quite meaty damage.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Some might say. I'm gonna clutch at straws there.
No, it works. It works.
Yeah,
That definitely works. Gallade, again, so cool with the the physical damage psychic type move, paired up with the Sword of Ruin from Chien-Pao on the other side of the field, just really, really capitalizing on the damage that Pokemon can do. And again, why Gallade finds itself in such a niche in the format as a physical attacker that has access to physical psychic type moves.
And the boost that it's got from its sharpness ability, I think really is worth calling out, because it's just so much damage that it can put onto the field. Even without psychic terrain, even without the boost of Sword of Ruin, it's still doing lots and lots of damage. I think it is a Pokemon it's a little bit tough to use. Its typing is a little bit tough, and its speed tiering can be a little bit problematic sometimes to fit into some of these balance calls. Pokemon have got so fast these days. But equally, if you can find a place to make it work, it really does offer a team quite a lot. It's a difficult Pokemon to take out in certain situations, but it does, as we said, so much damage.
Yeah, and that Gallade was running the Grass Terra type as well, so immune to Spore, and you switch up to Neutral, for example, on Fairy. And yeah, so a Pokemon that I'd love to see more of as we head into the rest of the day, but also heading into Regulation Set G. I'm wondering what our top cut is going to look like. We've seen such incredible teams on stream already. We had a Terra Rock Venusaur earlier. That's right. You want to go back and check that out. So Wish Trainers have made the top 8 here, and with such innovative team building going on all around, it's it's the sort of competition that only a late season tournament can give us, I feel.
Yeah, I think that's right, and I think it's a really nice send off.
Yeah.
Us for Regulation Set F, seeing trainers at the local level, of course, getting to feature people who don't always get to have a little bit of a deeper dive into both the way that they're playing and the way that they're building their teams. But as you say, the innovation that's coming up here and the kind of different teams that people are running is just really fun to be able to watch. And with that, we're going to get prepared for our top cut. We will know very soon who is going to be making it into our top 8. We'll be back for, of course, our top 8 matches going all the way through to the final. So stay tuned, stick around. We'll be back very soon with the top 8 of the Lanaken Mid-Season Showdown.